Welcome to the Big 12 Insiders, your Big 12 sports show. Here's your host, Brien Hanley.
Hey, everybody, what's going on? This is your man, Big B, Brien Hanley. Welcome back to Big 12 Insiders. Oh, man. We got our title game. We've got our title game. BYU versus Texas Tech. It has come down to this. Most people a month ago thought it was going to come down to this, but we had to get there. But we are here. And look, the College Football Playoff Committee has done everything in its power to keep two Big 12 teams out of this. Everything in its power. And I'll just lay it out like this. There is no way in the world that, or let me rephrase, the only way that the Big 12 is going to get two teams in is if BYU wins. They can't lose in overtime by 1 point. They can't be leading most of the game and it come down to a last-second field goal. It isn't going to matter. The only way that BYU gets in, they have to win the game. Now, is that fair? No. I mean, and anybody with even a halfway objective eye is going to tell you, because there's no way that you can look at BYU's resume and then turn around and look at two teams' resume. One, Oregon, but more importantly, two, Notre Dame, and say, yeah, their resume is better. What they've done is better, especially Notre Dame. You have two losses. BYU has one. Okay. Number one, or then the next thing, I know we're counting losses now because that's what we do. Well, I'm sorry. They've lost to the number 5 team in the country on the road. That's the best loss for BYU, since we're now talking about best losses, because when the rankings come out, A&M for sure isn't going to be in the top 5. Or are they? Are they going to do that? I would guess not. So since that's the case, not only does BYU have more wins, not only do they have less losses, but their best loss is better than yours. Oh, by the way, their best win happens to be better than yours because Utah, which we'll get to them in a second, is better than USC. So they have better wins, better losses, better strength of schedule. What else are you wanting? Like, tell me again what the criteria is to get into the college football playoff. I just need to know. Because you can't lean. The committee was so heartbroken that A&M got beat because now you can't justify it. There is no justification. So what are you going to say? Well, I know we were saying that it was better losses. Well, you can't say that anymore. Not to mention, you have more losses. Now we keep hearing all this BS about, well, Texas, they've got no. Texas, you're out. You know why? Because you lost to Florida, who absolutely stinks. And your resume is not better than BYU's. I don't care what you do. I don't know. We beat 3 top 10 teams. Okay, great. You also lost to a bottom feeder. You also struggled against 2 other bottom feeders. BYU didn't struggle against bottom feeders. So no, you're out. And that, or should be out. You shouldn't even be in consideration. And this is what it's come down to. But this is what they're doing to BYU. Tech is in because Tech will be at number 4, and they're not going to move Tech out with a loss. At least I don't think. They're not going to say, well, now you're number 12, you're number 13 because you lost the game. I don't believe they're going to do that. I believe Tech is going to be in no matter what. But to ensure that they're in, I would win if I was Tech, because you know how they are. You know exactly how they are, man. To ensure that, I would win. And there is a 0 possibility that they say, remember last year when they said, yeah, it's pretty much set. The only difference is there might be a team that gets held out because if we get upsets in these conference championship games and we have to put them in. But at this point, these teams are already in. I don't think they're going to say that this year. Matter of fact, I'd be willing to bet, if I was a betting man, I'd be willing to bet a lot of money they're not going to say that this year. And that's just is what it is, people. It just is what it is, man. This college football committee has zero credibility. I mean, zero credibility. And it gets laughable week after week after week. But our dream, or at least maybe my dream of getting 3 teams in, that's over. Utah has zero chance. Zero chance of making the college football playoff. Zero. And I know some Utah fans will, come on, Big B, if this team and this team and this team loses, they got a chance. No, you don't. And perception is reality. And I know we don't look at, or you shouldn't look at, hey, if you win a game, you win a game, you win a game. But I just finished talking about how Texas struggled against bottom feeders. I just said that. So I can't turn around and be a hypocrite just because it's the conference that I cover and I root for, and then turn around and say, well, if you struggle, it's not really that big of a struggle. And KU and K-State aren't necessarily bottom feeders, but they have a combined 11 wins on the season between the two teams. Not what we would call top of the ring competition by any stretch. And you gave up almost 800 rushing yards over the last 2 games to those 2 teams, which is a wild stat in itself. In 2 football games back to back, you almost give up 800 rushing yards. That's usually reserved for bottom feeder teams. You know, when you think about bottom feeder teams, you think about, oh yeah, they almost gave up 800 rushing yards in 2 games. Okay. Not Utah. Not a team that won those 2 games by crying out loud. Sorry, Utah, you played yourself out of any opportunity of making a college football playoff. You won the games and you get credit for winning the games, but you're not making it. And quite frankly, you don't deserve it. You know, we can't be, look, I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I'm going to root for you. I thought it was an incredible bounce back year, but when push came to shove at the end of the year and you had to stand up and make your case, because one of your cases had always been everybody besides Tech and BYU, every win, we blew everybody out. Well, it's okay not to blow out Kansas State. It's okay not to blow out Kansas, but you can't look the way that you did and then want to compare yourself to these other teams that are fighting. You can't do that. Even if this would have happened in the middle of the year, okay, even though I'm a person that says, hey, the first game of the year is just as important as the last game of the year. I believe that, because if it doesn't matter, then don't play the games. That's just my philosophy. Other people may disagree with you. But at the end of the year, when people are looking and say, okay, let's compare Utah to Notre Dame, to Miami, to Vanderbilt. What does it look like? Oh, well, hell, they almost gave up 800 yards rushing the last 2 games of the year. Yeah, they're out. And then that'll be the end of it. And quite frankly, if we're being honest, it should be the end of it. Great year, just not college football playoff worthy this year. But this is where we're at, people. The way to get into this thing, BYU's got to win. They're not going to let them in unless they win the Big 12 title. And again, that is malpractice. That is disgusting. And I mean, I would rather the committee just come out and say, we would rather have the brand of Notre Dame in the college football playoff than the brand of BYU. We would rather have the brand of Miami or a Vanderbilt. We would rather have those in, or Oregon over BYU. We would rather have that. And at least you knew, because we already know, don't get me wrong, we know, but at least they would be being honest about it versus coming up with nonsense to try to justify it. And again, the justification has gone away because it's always been they have better losses than other people. Well, they don't have better losses than BYU now. Even if BYU loses this game, they still don't have better losses. They don't have a better loss. And they damn sure don't have better wins. So what are we talking about? And that's the difference. So I appreciate everybody, man. Remember to like, follow, subscribe, continue to get in the comments. We'll have our recap of the weekend, what happened this weekend on Monday. College basketball is in full swing. It was an up and down weekend as far as hoops were concerned, but I think it was more up than down. It was more up than down. We'll take a better look at that this weekend, and we'll start talking hoops a lot moving forward. So make sure you guys are here for that, because it's going to be a great season as far as the Big 12 basketball is concerned, guys. So make sure that you guys still tune in, because we'll be here. We are going to be here. And I know you guys like hoops. And if you like me at all, trust me, I know my basketball. Continue to challenge me. Don't get me wrong. Continue to challenge me respectfully. But absolutely tune in, because it's going to be a fun hoops season, ladies and gentlemen. So appreciate you, and we will talk to you soon.
Thank you for watching the Big 12 Insiders, your Big 12 sports show. This has been a Spirit Street production.